A wolf is standing 30 feet away from you in a forest. It has never seen a human before. It has never been hunted, never been trapped, never been fed. And within 3 seconds of seeing you, it has already made a decision. Not a guess, a decision. Amen. The question is, what exactly is it reading? What information is it processing in those 3 seconds? And how does it know the difference between a human who wants to help it and a human who wants to harm it? Because it does know. And the system it uses to figure that out is stranger and more precise than most people ever imagine. Every wild animal runs a continuous background process every second of every day. Scientists call it threat assessment. It takes in speed of approach, and direction of movement, whether you make direct eye contact, whether you move in a straight line or an indirect one, whether your body is oriented toward the animal or sideways to it. Each of these inputs carries weight. Each one shifts the calculation. A predator hunting moves fast, directly, with its body oriented toward the target. Eye contact is brief and focused on movement, not on the animal's face. A human moving slowly, indirectly, with body turned sideways, no sudden gestures, looking without staring, produces a pattern that does not match anything in the threat catalog that evolution built. The alarm system searches for a known pattern. It finds nothing that fits. And when it finds nothing that fits, something unexpected happens. The animal waits, not because it trusts you, because it genuinely cannot classify you yet. But here's where it gets genuinely surprising. Because wild animals don't just assess you in the moment, they study you over time. They build files. In a study published in the journal Royal Society Open Science, researchers tested woolly monkeys in Ecuador's Yasuni National Park by sending human models into their territory doing 3 different things. One model carried a hunting posture. One moved like a researcher. One moved like a forager. The monkeys responded completely differently to each one. To the hunting posture, immediate alarm, rapid retreat, total silence. To the researcher posture, cautious observation, slower retreat, alarm calls but no panic. To the forager, almost no reaction at all. These monkeys live in a national park with low hunting pressure. They had limited direct experience with hunters, and yet they read the body language of intent with enough accuracy to produce 3 completely different responses. They weren't reacting to what you are. They were reacting to what you appear to be about to do. What makes this system even more remarkable is that animals don't just assess you individually. They share the assessment. Researchers studying jackdaws, a species of crow, published a study showing that wild jackdaws use social learning to identify dangerous humans. When a jackdaw heard another jackdaw's alarm call while a specific person was near its nest, jackdaw remembered that specific person as a threat in every future encounter. It didn't need its own negative experience. It borrowed someone else's assessment and filed it as its own. The information transferred between individuals. A warning issued by one bird became the threat database of another. This is not unique to birds. Elephants in Kenya, studied by researchers at the University of Sussex, AM could distinguish between 2 local groups of humans purely by the sound of their voices. One group had a history of occasional conflict with elephants. The other did not. When they heard the voice of the group with conflict history on a recording, they bunched together, went silent, and moved downwind. When they heard the other group, almost no reaction at all. They were not reacting to human voices. They were reacting to that specific group of humans based on information their community had accumulated and stored across years. They had a file on them. So how does a wild animal go from running a threat response to allowing a human to help it? The answer is not trust, not in any way that resembles how humans use that word. What happens is more precise than that. When an animal is trapped or injured, its threat system goes into maximum output. Cortisol floods the bloodstream. Heart rate doubles. Every resource the body has goes toward one outcome: survive this moment. When a calm human approaches slowly, without sudden movement, touching the trap instead of the animal, producing no sounds that match any known threat, the threat system searches its entire library of predator behavior. A predator closing in accelerates. It moves in a direct line. It makes contact with the prey, not with objects around it. None of that is happening. The pattern the threat system was built to detect never arrives. And when the expected sequence never arrives, the crisis response loses its anchor point. It doesn't switch off. It stalls. The animal goes still. It watches. This is the moment field researchers describe as the shift. The locked rigid body softens. The frantic motion stops. The animal orients, not away from the human, toward them. Not because it understands rescue, because it ran out of threat patterns to match. In 2014, a team of wildlife researchers in Yellowstone came across a coyote caught in a leg-hold trap. The animal lunged at every approach, burning through its last energy on the only response its biology had ever given it. One researcher stopped moving completely and held steady eye contact. Not aggressive eye contact, not the focused tracking gaze of a predator calculating distance. Just still, direct, unmoving. Sustained eye contact that doesn't accompany aggression is a signal that sits outside the predator threat template entirely. The threat system encountered encountered something it had no category for. The coyote stopped lunging. It sat down. It held the eye contact back. When the researcher began working on the trap, the coyote watched his hands, not his face, his hands. It was tracking what was being done to the trap, not what the human was doing with his body. When the trap released, the coyote stood still for a moment, looked directly at the researcher, then walked into the tree line and was gone. The researcher later said he didn't know what the animal understood about what had just happened, but something had clearly shifted in the calculation. The thread file that opened the moment he arrived had not closed the same way it usually does. So here is what the science actually tells us. Wild animals don't decide if you are safe or dangerous based on what you are. They decide based on what you do, how you move, how fast, which direction, whether your behavior matches any pattern in a threat catalog built over thousands of years of evolution. They share those assessments across individuals. They update them based on new information. They build files on specific humans, specific groups, specific behaviors. And in the moments when a calm human produces no pattern that the threat system recognizes, something shifts. Not trust, not understanding, something more precise than that. A calculation that comes back with no result, and an animal that decides, for the first time, to wait and see. Which of these surprised you most? The monkeys reading body language, or the jackdaws sharing threat files with each other? Drop it in the comments. And if this changed how you think about the next animal you walk past, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who has ever wondered what an animal is actually thinking when it looks at them.